What up, y'all? This is Tracy from Nerd Squish, and today we'll be reviewing and harshly judging even more werewolf designs. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I was just casually reading about werewolves. It's supposed to be about possible ways to lift the affliction of lycanthropy, but for some reason, we got a monk slow dancing with a werewolf. I can't explain that. You know what? It's been a while since we have talked about werewolf designs, and with a new werewolf movie hitting the theaters this week, I think it's time. So grab yourself a cold one, whether that be a nice cold beer, a crisp Sprite from McDonald's, or a Capri Sun, and let's talk werewolves. If you haven't seen the last two videos where we rated werewolf designs, definitely check those out, as if you're a werewolf fan, they are a real good time. And because it's been a while, like 9 months since the last one, let's do a little refresher on our rating system. So if a werewolf gets a full moon, it is absolute perfection. If it gets a quarter moon, it's just a little less than amazing. If it gets a crescent moon, it's just a little less than terrible. And if it gets a no moon, well, just give that thing a silver bullet, because there's no saving it. And I want to stress once again that my rating is no reflection of the movie or TV show that the werewolf is in, but the final transformation. Now, that being said, if there are some cool details and aspects about the transformation process, and if it, incorporates practical effects, I'll give it a couple extra points. But before we get into our list, if you're new here, this is Nerd Squish, where we take everything spooky and we take everything nerdy and we squish it all together. So if you like werewolves, horror movies, and pop culture, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos from us in the future. Now, without further ado,
guess it's time to get wolfy, huh?
We're gonna start off today's list with 2022's Werewolf by Night. Just when I was getting Marvel fatigue, this special was dropped, and I was absolutely amazed that Marvel and Disney could do something this cool. Because, let's be honest, when is the last time that Marvel or Disney did anything that really made anyone's jaw drop? Oh wait. Based off of the comics by the same name, Werewolf by Night brings those old school, classic black and white horror vibes that I've been searching for. And just like the vibe of this 53-minute long special, the werewolf design is also very reminiscent of classic werewolves. It's giving Werewolf of London. It's giving Curse of the Werewolf. Yet it has details that make it distinct and original. One thing in particular is Jack Russell's face paint that pays homage to his ancestors, that gives a very Day of the Dead look that sticks around in his werewolf form. I absolutely love this movie, love this design, full moon all the way. Next up, we're going to talk about the Vampire Diaries TV series that ran from 2009 to 2017. This series came out at the height of the Twilight craze, and you can definitely tell because it mimics it in multiple ways. You've got love triangles, vampires, and terrible werewolf designs. And look, I'll give them credit where credit is due. They do a really good job of showing these transformation scenes as quite possibly the most painful transformation scenes that I have ever seen. And often they have them lasting for hours. So you're feeling it, right? And you would think with all the trouble they go through to make this elaborate, painful, excruciating transformation scene that we would get a really cool werewolf, and well, we don't. It's a CGI transformation where a guy just turns into a wolf. Nothing creative or interesting. We've got shapeshifter BS. This snooze fest of a design is getting a new moon. Next, we're going to talk about Wolf Like Me, the TV series that premiered in 2022. This underrated series delivered some of the best practical effects that we have seen on TV in quite some time. The werewolf design is very reminiscent of an American Werewolf in London, as it walks on all fours and is very much this like demonic wolf design. The effects team really went above and beyond on this one, and as a result, we have some super cool transformation scenes. One of my favorite details on this design is that because of the human character Mary having red hair, the werewolf has red hair. They also added her pregnant belly and her yabos to the design, and I love that.
Max likes her yabos. In fact, he loves them.
It's not often that you see reflections of the person within with this kind of design. This is not my favorite kind of werewolf, but because it was so beautifully executed, I'm giving it a quarter moon. Also, we better get a season 3. Next up, we're going to talk about 2003's Underworld. I feel like there's a lot of divide in the werewolf fandom on this particular werewolf, but I think it's so beautifully unique and so perfectly fits into the world that it's set in. Patrick Tatopoulos created a terrifying and towering lichen. The design has less hair than I would typically like to see in a werewolf, but they did it with reason. They wanted to see more of the muscles and the design of the actual werewolf underneath, and you know what? I can respect that. I mean, look at these suits, even lifeless hanging from a rack. They just look so badass. And these lichens do have some hair that is individually punched in and sealed with silicone. A very laborious process, but totally worth it in my opinion. Maybe the guy punching in the hairs didn't really think that by the time it was done, but you know what? It's beautiful and we love you for it. Watching behind the scenes interviews on this, a lot of people that worked on the designs described this werewolf design as almost feline or pit bull-like. Not the singer, the dog. I absolutely love this design, full moon all the way. Next up, we're going to talk about the cult classic from 2000, Ginger Snaps. I love the slow change of Ginger into a werewolf. We have a lot of very subtle details, and they're beautifully executed with practical effects. However, the final werewolf it's whack. This is what happens when you mix a werewolf with a worm. Hopefully I don't have to explain that. I mean, you see that, right? Something about this design, the lack of hair, the slime, the wrinkles, it's given worm.
We are worms! Worthless worms!
So I guess this answers the question that girlfriends and wives everywhere love to ask. Would you love me if I was a worm? No, Ginger, I would not. I'll give a couple extra points for the practical effects, but this wormy design is getting a crescent moon. Next up, we're going to talk about 1981's Full Moon High. Okay, so anyone that's a fan of this werewolf parody, he's not really gonna like my rating. I hate this movie and I hate this design. Look, the design's very fitting of the style of movie, but it's just, I can't get into it. You know what this is? This right here is when a little kid sees a really cool werewolf costume in the costume store and begs his mom to buy it, and she says, oh, we have werewolf costumes at home. And then they get home and she busts out one of those like really cheap, terrible makeup kits that they sold in the 80s and proceeds to give him the world's worst werewolf costume. Terrible. New moon. Next up, we're going to talk about 2010's made-for-TV movie, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. This may be a cheesy Nickelodeon Halloween movie, but it's so much better than it should be. And that includes the werewolf design. Throughout the movie, you see 3 different werewolves, and they all have their own very distinct look. You can tell which character is which, even when they're a werewolf. Which, for a lot of movies, you can't really say. So I appreciated that they put the effort to give each design its own personality. And even these in-between scenes where they're not fully transformed but show like a little glimpse of the werewolf, even that is really well executed with practical effects. Nickelodeon didn't have to bust out practical effects and werewolf suits for this made-for-TV movie, but they did, and for that, I salute them. Full moon, baby. Next up, we're gonna talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series that ran from 1997 to 2003. With a TV show like Buffy, it's really hard to pick a favorite character because they're all so dang good. Oz is easily in my top 3. Unfortunately, his werewolf design will not appear in any top rankings for me. And I hate to say that because they gave us practical effects, but both of the designs that they gave us are just not great. The first time we see the werewolf, we have a very basic werewolf costume. Nothing interesting, very boring. And then the second one we see, and the one that they used through the majority of the TV show, is it's interesting. I like that they did something original, something creative, but there's also something about it that gives more weremonkey than werewolf. I'll give them a couple extra points for using practical effects, but we're giving this one a crescent moon. Next up, we're going to talk about 2015's Howl. This is a fun watch and a very interesting story, but the werewolf design, it's getting a no from me, dog. Absolutely not. I can respect that they tried to do something different, but this comes off as just like a mutated version of Sabretooth from X-Men. Please tell me somebody sees that. Maybe it's the sideburns? I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong, because that's it. I got nothing left to say on this. New moon. And the last werewolf that we're going to talk about today is from Penny Dreadful that ran from 2014 through 2016. It's no surprise that this beautiful TV series would have an absolutely amazing werewolf design. And it's very fitting of the tone of the show. It's not anything over the top, it's very subtle, and it's very classic. It's giving Werewolf of London. I love this sort of design that just blends into the actor. We don't have a huge bulky prosthetic, but we've added enough hair and fangs for you to know that this is a werewolf, and the actor can still act. Absolutely gorgeous. You know that I'm giving Ethan Chandler and his werewolf design a full moon rating to end this video. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, 10 more werewolf designs that we have rated and harshly judged. Do you agree with my ratings? What are some other werewolves that you would like to see in a possible part 4 of this video series? Let me know in the comments. I cannot wait to see The Beast Within when it drops on July 26th. It looks like a really good werewolf drama, but the question is, what will the werewolf look like? The movie hasn't exactly had a lot of buzz, and there are absolutely no hints in the trailer or any kind of, marketing photos to show us what the werewolf design will look like. Because let's face it, trailers, typically give way too much information away, so the anticipation is kind of hyping me up. The pessimistic realist in me kind of expects a overly CGI'd monster, but only time will tell. If you enjoyed this video and nerding out about werewolves, give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when new videos hit the channel, you'll be notified. And as always, thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch you nerds later!